Church. This is the day the Lord hath made, we shall rejoice and be glad within it. Let us open up the word of prayer. Father in heaven, we are thankful and grateful for blessing us to be a part of this experience, a part of this day. For this is the day that you have made, that we shall rejoice and be glad within it. We thank you for blessing us and keeping us in our week. We thank you even for the liquid sunshine that is descending from the heavens, knowing that you bring forth flowers that will blossom and bloom even later on in the year. We pray now, dear God, that you may just anoint us and bless us as a congregation as we have gathered in this house. We come together in thy name. Bless us and keep us according to your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Come on, let's clap our hands. Let the light
on this day. Father, we're here not because of our own righteousness, but because of your own goodness. And we're here, dear Lord, because you have blessed us in multiple ways. Now, Father, as we stand to present your word, we pray for your leading, for your guiding, that you may feed us, that you may allow us to grow in your grace, that you may expand our thinking and expand our spirits, and that we may grow closer and closer to you. Bless us and keep us. May your precious blood cover us even right now, that you may get the glory of all that was said and done. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. The church said amen. Go with me to the gospel as recorded by St. Luke, Dr. Luke, in the 24th chapter. And we're going to begin reading with the 32nd verse. Luke's gospel, chapter 24, and looking at verse 32 to 35. When you have it kind enough to say amen. Luke 24, 32 to 35. And we find these words written by Dr. Luke. And they said one to another, "Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened unto us the scriptures?" And they rose up that same hour and returned to Jerusalem, and found the 11 gathered together, and them who were with them, saying, "The Lord is risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon." And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them in breaking of bread. Amen. The text is the after moments of the crucifixion of Christ. We know that it had been prophesied down through the ages that Christ would suffer. And now we find ourselves on a desolate and dusty road leading from Jerusalem to an obscure city called Emmaus. Our thought this morning, very briefly, on this first Sunday in the month of May, is when things go wrong. Somebody to your left and say, "When things go wrong."
When things go wrong.
I would submit to you today that life is a series of occurrences where things happen to go wrong in life. Somebody has said that life is a series of interruptions, interrupted by interruptions. Things seem to happen to us, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes out of the ordinary. Life is a constant motion of things that go either right or wrong. And life does not afford us the luxury of things going always right. Unfortunately, in life, things will go wrong. Business deals go wrong.
I know that's right, amen.
Things that seem so promising and so rewarding and so beneficial many times may go wrong. Relationships go wrong. The couple was standing at the altar with bright-eyed and bushy-tails, with hopes of all things going well in their marriage. But maybe after 2 or 3 years, that hope crashes and burns. Things just go wrong. Job opportunities go wrong. When we go into our places of employment and we're handed a pink slip, or they are downsizing, no matter what you call it, you fired. Things go wrong. Opportunities fade and they fizzle. Stock market crashes. Sickness hits us. Plans that were so great turn into ashes and dust. Sometimes the bottom just falls out. Things go wrong. History is cluttered with experiences and people where things have gone wrong. Imagine being at the Little Bighorn standing with Custer when his scouts told him there were only a few Indians over the horizon, but the tragedy of Custer was, in his case, things went wrong. Imagine being at the Waterloo with Napoleon when he tried to conquer most of Europe, but Napoleon met his Waterloo because things went wrong. Imagine a Cornwallis at Yorktown during the Revolutionary War when the final battle at that war happened, because for Cornwallis, things went wrong. And the Bible even reminds us that things biblically will go wrong. Imagine a Samson with your head in the lap of a Delilah. For Samson, Dr. Cusack, things went wrong. Imagine being Pharaoh standing at the banks of the Nile River as he tried to make his way to recapture those slaves that he had kept in bondage for years. But the Lord, through the breath of his nostrils, divided the Red Sea, and God's people walked across on dry land, but Pharaoh found his army destroyed because things went wrong. Imagine Brother Stephen, our first martyr, as he was testifying about the goodness of God, about the righteousness of Christ, and how he was willing, even in the midst of people with stones in their hands, how they stoned Brother Stephen because things went wrong. Even we find Jesus on the cross, dying between two thieves. He had done nothing amiss, nothing wrong, no guile was in his mouth. He went around doing good. But we find him on that fateful Friday when the sun refused to shine, on that fateful Friday when he put a crown of thorns on his head and pierced him in the side, and it seemed like things had gone wrong. Yes, in life, things will go wrong. Now in our text, we find these two disciples. I'm reading a great book by John MacArthur, and it's called 12 Ordinary Men. And it outlines and it talks about the 12 disciples, 12 ordinary men that had no theological degrees, they had no substance, they were fishermen, most of them. One was a tax collector, one was a zealot, a revolutionary who tried to overthrow the Roman government. The other, Matthew, as a tax collector, was in collusion. That's a word we hear a lot nowadays, don't we? Collusion, that was in collusion with the Roman government. And God, through Christ, chose 12 ordinary men. And from those 12 ordinary men, they changed the world. Only had been with Christ for half of his 3 years of ministry, but yet those years of ministry with Jesus as he taught them and tutored them and trained them, they turned the world upside down. It's a great book, and I can't wait to finish it. And we find in our text today those disciples that have been with Christ. They have been with him in the major parts of his ministry. They had walked with him and they had talked with him. They had seen his miracles as he fed people banquets in wilderness places, and how he turned water into wine, and how he raised Brother Lazarus from the dead, and how he healed Jairus' daughter, and how he healed the man at the pool for 38 years. They saw all the miracles that Christ did. They were hoping that he would reinstate Jerusalem back to their place of prominence that they had during the years of David and Solomon. They had a hope that was beyond expectations. And now they are walking sadly back home. They had followed him. They had left homes. They had left family. They had left businesses. They had left all the things in life that they were depending on to follow this Galilean barefoot preacher, because he was saying something that got their attention, and they were thinking and hoping that he would revive not only them individually, but will revive them spiritually and as a nation.
Right.
But in their life, things went wrong. So in our lives, when things go wrong, let me give you a brief prescription of what we can do. You all with me this morning?
Yes, sir.
When things went wrong. You know, I call my pharmacist because I get a text saying that my medicine is ready, and I wasn't able to pick it up here. So since I was in D.C. a couple of days, I said, "Can you send it to the CVS on Pennsylvania Avenue?" So I went to CVS on Pennsylvania Avenue. I said, "Can you call Ewing and have them transfer my prescription?" And my cholesterol is a little high. I'm taking this pill for you. You're a nurse, you know all about that. And so they had some problems in transferring. Things just went wrong. And then I have a little blood pressure medicine that I have to take. And so I looked at my pill box. I talked to my wife. I said, "I'm running out of my blood pressure medicine." I said, "I got to make sure I re-up on that." And it took some time, but because of this system they had, even though they were both CVS's, things just went wrong.
Right.
And I thought about the fact that, even though they have all this modern technology and all of the ways of now transferring money with a blink of an eye, but yet you can't transfer my little prescription in time. And they said to me, "Well, Mr. Griffith, I'm sorry, but things just went wrong." I said, "Yeah, I know that, but how do you fix it?" So when things go wrong in our lives, not just my example, but I'm sure in your life things may go wrong. What is a good thing for us to do when that happens? So I think the text draws out for us a couple of things we can do. Number one, when they were walking with sadness in their hearts and tears in their eyes because they had seen their Savior crucified on a cross, their hopes and dreams had been dashed, things had gone wrong. They did, the first thing was they thought within themselves. Many times in life, things can be solved and problems could be fixed by us just pausing for a moment and just thinking. One philosopher put it this way: most of the ills of mankind could be settled if people just get into a room quietly and just think. But we live in an age where people don't think deeply anymore. We live in an age where, as one quotation is, people get lost in thought because it's so unfamiliar territory. Let me repeat that. People get lost in thought because it's unfamiliar territory. The fact is, we don't think deeply, even as a nation, as a city, as a state. We don't think deep thoughts that used to be thought. As a matter of fact, there are systems in place in this society that will keep you from thinking. You know, amusement comes from two words, one being know and the other being muse, which means to think. So when you're amusing something, you are thinking about something. But if you are engaged in amusement, like amusement parks, you go there not to think. And when you look at how we are bombarded with entertainment, I was watching the Kentucky Derby yesterday. Y'all watched Kentucky Derby? No, y'all watched it? I didn't bet on the horses, but I was watching. And how there was it was messed up because one of the horses went over into the lane of the other horses. And the one that won, they called it that, and they gave it to the second place winner because it was an encroachment on his lane. Wow. And how there was all kinds of, you watch it, Rob? There was all kinds of debate and discussion and all these things that were going on, and people were on the edge of their seats because a lot of money had been bet on the horses. And so the one who they thought would win didn't win. And the one who was out like 33-1, they ended up winning. So somebody in Las Vegas got paid. You bet on the horse 33-1, Larry, somebody got paid. So, in all of that thinking and discussion, and I thought about the fact how we are constantly bombarded with advertisements, with entertainment, with the NBA playoffs, about to get ready to kick off the NFL. We are systematically plugged in to things causing us not to think. They don't want you to think about the fact that it's hard to make a living. They don't want you to think about the fact that the minimum wage is only 8%. They want you to think about the fact that many of our children are graduating from high school and can't read or write. They want you to think about the fact that there's corruption at all levels of government. They don't want us to think. They want us to be just going with the flow, not making any waves in life. Let it be, let it be, let it be. But as believers, if we're going to be where Christ was, every now and then you need to disrupt something. Every now and then you got to turn over the tables. Every now and then you got to kick the garbage can and take names. Life is about changing things. But unless you think about things, it will never be changed. Because if you do the same thing you always done, you'll get the same thing you always got. Amen. So the text informs us they thought about the things that were happening in Jerusalem those past days. That's my point number one. What happens when things go wrong, we think. Secondly, when things go wrong, then you talk about what went wrong. See, most of the time, we don't want to talk about stuff. We are like silos that we are afraid to talk. We have an elevator mentality. You know how you do when you get on the elevator? You stand and look at the buttons. You hear the elevator music, you don't say nothing to anybody, you just wait until your floor comes and then you get off. Well, many times in life we do that without being on the elevator. We don't talk to each other, we don't express our feelings. You know, if you bump against each other unexpectedly, somebody act like you committed a crime, you know, we have poor social skills. Not us as adults, because we haven't learned how to maneuver and navigate through things. We look at our young people, they don't talk to each other. And quite frankly, many times, we text also. We don't talk, we text. You don't call anybody anymore, you just sit on a text, you know. There's no talking, there's no conversation, you know, there's no dialogue, there's no emotion involved. We just send a text. Something I tell people, pick up the phone and call me. I can't put everything I want to put in a text because you can't feel what I'm saying. Pick up the phone and call me. Because we don't talk. Even when we have problems, we don't talk. And sometimes you talk to the wrong person. And then you find that your business is out on the street. It's on the front page of the Trentonian because you talk to the wrong person. Make sure you talk to the right person. But first of all, make sure you talk. Text informs us as they walk, they talk. And they talk to each other what they were thinking about. The fact of what had happened. But we failed to talk. We failed to express ourselves. We failed to open ourselves up because it's dangerous many times to open yourself up to conversation. So, when things go wrong, number one, you think about the situation. Let me say this hypothetically on their thinking. Norman Vincent Peale, who passed away, Reverend Norman Vincent Peale, he wrote a great book concerning the power of positive thinking. They will look that up, the power of positive thinking. He also wrote a book concerning Jesus' power thoughts. He made a statement before he died, and he said, every problem that we have, within that problem is a seed that will allow us to get out of the problem. Because problems come with seeds for solutions. But we have to be able to sit down and think about what the problem is and then find a seed in the problem in which we can get out of the situation. Thinking, talking. Third point. Y'all can you this one?
Yeah.
Okay, third point. When they started to talk to each other, then Jesus shows up. When they started to have dialogue, then the divine showed up. I like that song. We used to sing it in the church. Have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about your problems. He'll hear your faint cry. He'll answer by. Feel a little fire turning. Have a little talk with Jesus makes it right. The third point is, when you have the talk, make sure you talk to Jesus about your problem.
Amen.
They talked to Jesus about their problem. And thanks be to God that God knows our problems. That he knows what we are confronting, that he knows our situation, that he remembers that we are but dust, we are weak, we are frail, and he has the answer to all of our problems that's at the hem of his garments. When's the last time you had a serious talk with God? Now maybe we talk to y'all here tonight now, there's somebody watching me by way of cable, by way of Facebook. I mean, had a serious talk with God. See, some folk only have an emergency relationship with God. They only talk to him, Dr. Cusack, when things do go wrong. But the key is to talk to God before things go wrong.
Amen.
Don't wait until the bottom falls out before you pull the emergency cord. But talk to him when things are going somewhat well.
Praise him while things are going good, and he will bless you when things start going wrong. But I like the story of Jonah. I'm going to get here in a few moments. I like the story of Jonah. We know the story of Jonah. Jonah, having called by God to go preach to the Ninevites. And Jonah, being a Jew, did not want to go preach to those Gentiles. He didn't want to go to Nineveh. God said, I want you to go to Nineveh and cry loud and spare not. Jonah said, I'm not going. Jonah got on a boat and went to Joppa. He went northeast, northwest, when he should have been going northeast. He got on the boat there, and then God calls a storm. Point here in life, sometimes God calls storms in your life because you're on the wrong boat. I talk to preachers who are at churches, and storms in the church, Brother Rick, they got out on the wrong boat. They took the job because it was a big church. They thought they could make a whole lot of money, and they had a nice parsonage. They had a nice big congregation. And they signed the document before they prayed. And now they're in the wrong church, on the wrong boat. I'm with somebody right now, some preacher right now, somebody in the world. They're on the wrong church because they got on the wrong boat. And now God calls a storm on the church, a storm on the boat, because you're on the wrong boat. You get on the wrong boat, storms come in your life. Sometimes you're in the wrong relationship because you're on the wrong boat. Sometimes you're in the wrong job because you're on the wrong boat. That's why it's important to pray to the Lord before you get on the boat. So Brother Jonah got on the boat. He went the opposite direction that God told him to go. And God calls a storm. So the mariners said, everybody pray to your God. And all of them prayed to their God. And then they cast lots. And they do the last city. They threw dice. And the dice fell on Jonah. They looked at Brother Jonah and said, you the cause of it. And Jonah said, yeah, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. And then what they did, they wanted to help Jonah. So they started to throw things off the boat to lighten the boat. I'm going somewhere with this church. They started throwing things off the boat to lighten the boat. They were trying with their own human ingenuity to help the storm to cease. They were trying in their own ways, their own human ways, their own intelligence to try to cause the storm to cease. Some things in life, you need divine deliverance. That's why Jesus said some things come by fasting and prayer. Some things in life you can't talk your way out of.
Come on.
And so they said to Brother Jonah, they said, well, we don't want to throw you overboard. We will try to lighten the ship, and therefore we'll be okay. But as they even threw the cargo off of the ship, the storm got worse and worse. And they came to the conclusion that they had to throw our brother off the boat. So they threw Jonah off the boat. And God prepared a fish that swallowed Brother Jonah. And Jonah found himself in the belly of a fish at the bottom of the sea. What did Jonah do when things go wrong? Jonah prayed. And the Lord then caused the fish to spit him out. My point is this. Jonah at least had a relationship with God before he got in the fish's belly that he was able to pray. Amen. He wasn't on speaking terms with the Lord when he was on the run, Sister Holmes, but the fact was at least he had a relationship, Dr. Cusack, to speak to the Lord in the midst of his trouble. Why? Because when things went wrong in his life, he took it to God, and God was able to deliver him. And when things go wrong in our lives, take it to the Master. He'll work it out. He will fix it for us if we give it to him. I'm almost done here. A little boy had a lunch, and Jesus kneeled from that little lunch, Jesus fed over 5,000 men plus women and children. Why? Because the little boy was wise enough to get his little lunch put in the hands of the master, then the master turned that situation into a banquet in the wilderness. Why? Because he was willing to give it to the Lord. And when you give it to the Lord, church, everything will work out right. I'm so happy that the scriptures say all things will work together for good if you love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Give it to him, and he will work it out. What happens when things go wrong? First of all, you think about it. Secondarily, you talk about it. And thirdly, you talk to the right person and give it to the Lord, and he will. And that's what you got to understand. Have a little talk with Jesus.
Have a little talk.
Tell him all about it. Your hands are by the by. Christ, and thou shalt be saved. You don't need a doctor to believe.
multiple. There are a few things that he did is only recorded maybe one time. He only wrote one time on the ground, and he cried. As I preached a couple Sundays ago, he cried twice. And then it's only recorded in scripture that he sung one time. And that is after community with his followers, with his disciples. The Bible said that he sung a hymn, and they went out into the mountain of Olives. As believers, after we have our communion time, we sing a hymn, and then we depart out into this mean, sick, crazy world in which we live in. But we know as we go out into the world, we have cosmic companionship. We have divine protection through the craziness of life. And so we're going to sing a hymn, we're going to hug each other, amen. If you can't hug somebody, you can find another spot.